You been talking about the Queen again? On Independence Day?
Who's the fella who owns this?
Just hold it right there. Hold it!
You better bury Ned right, or I'll come back and kill every one of you sons of...
The film opens in the early 1880s in the town of Big Whiskey, Wyoming. A brief prologue informs us through text on screen that a woman named Claudia Feathers died of smallpox in 1878, and that her husband, William Money, a known thief and murderer of women and children, was a man of notoriously vicious and intemperate disposition. At sunset, we see a silhouette of William Money standing near his wife's grave, staring blankly at the horizon. The peaceful scene shifts to a terrifying incident occurring in the dead of night at a local brothel situated above Greeley's Billiard, owned by the opportunistic Skinny Du Bois. Two cowboys, Quick Mike and Davy Bunting, are visiting the prostitutes. When a young, gentle woman named Delilah giggles at the sight of Quick Mike's small manhood, Mike flies into a sudden, blinding rage. He pins Delilah to a wall and slashes her face repeatedly with a hunting knife, permanently disfiguring her. Davy and another woman named Strawberry Alice try to stop him, but he is still burning with anger. Seeing no other way, Skinny points a gun at him, finally bringing a halt to the assault. A few hours later, the town sheriff Little Bill Daggett visits the place, and after seeing Delilah's pathetic condition, orders the two cowboys to be whipped. But Skinny demands that they pay compensation as his property was damaged and now no man would want Delilah. Bill settles the dispute after ordering that the cowboys give Skinny 7 ponies.
You ain't even gonna whip them?
Well, I find him instead, Alice.
For what they done? Skinny get some ponies and that's it? That ain't fair, Little Bill. That ain't fair.
Angered by the fact that the perpetrators got off with such a light punishment, the women pool their money and post a bounty of $1,000 to be given to anyone willing to ride to Big Whiskey and kill both cowboys. The scene then shifts to William Money and his pig farm, where we see that he is the father of 2 children and barely makes a living off his hogs. He is old, weak, and is only a shadow of his former self. As it appears, his wife Claudia had cured him off his violent nature and shown him the correct way to lead a life. Being a faithful and loving husband, he abides by her rules and has neither touched a bottle of whiskey nor a gun for the past 11 years. But trouble soon comes looking for him in the form of a brash young man named the Schofield Kid. William invites him inside, and here we get to know that he is the nephew of Pete Sodhow, William's former partner. He had heard tales from his Uncle Pete about the ferocious William Money, who used to shoot without fear or remorse.
Yeah, well, Uncle Pete says he was the meanest goddamn son of a... And if I ever wanted a partner for a killing, you were the worst one. Meaning best.
He lets William know about the bounty, and when William hears about the torture the cowboys inflicted on a woman, he is disgusted. But he refuses the offer, stating that his wife has changed him for the better, and he has no intentions of disrespecting her.
I ain't like that anymore, kid. My wife, she cured me of that. Cured me of drink and wickedness.
Unhappy with William's decision, he leaves, but before leaving, lets him know where to find him, in case he changes his mind. After he is gone, William tends to his hogs, but he struggles to handle them, and falls down on the mud several times. He understands that he is no longer capable of such tedious work, but also cannot let his children die in hunger. Thus, he takes out his old pistol and goes target shooting. As expected, a decade of peace has hampered his aim. Ashamed of himself, he brings out his shotgun and blasts off the can. His kids are surprised to see this avatar of their humble father and wonder who he was during his youth. He then puts some flowers near his wife's grave and sets off to his dear friend, Ned Logan.
Well, you take care of your sister now, my son. And you kill a few chickens if you have to, and keep those hogs that got the fever separate. If you have any problem, you go see Sally Two Trees at Ned Logan's.
Next day, Mike and Davy return to the brothel to hand over their compensation. They have brought 7 ponies, and Skinny happily accepts their offer. But Strawberry Alice and the other women lash out at them, throwing horse dung and insulting them in every possible way, forcing the cowboys to retreat. Furious, Skinny interrogates the women about the bounty of $1,000, but they deny offering any bounty. Scared that assassins are going to ruin his business, he visits Little Bill and informs him of the situation. He too is shocked and believes that the word must have spread far by now.
Yeah, well, they've been humping them and telling every bow-legged one of them that they're paying $1,000 to whatever son of a kills the two boys that...
Hell, the word's probably got all the way down to Texas by now.
His prediction proves to be correct. The bounty has attracted a famous gunfighter, English Bob, an arrogant, aristocratic British expatriate. Bob arrives in Big Whiskey via the newly laid railroad, accompanied by Beecham, a dime novel biographer who eagerly chronicles Bob's exaggerated exploits.
Well, that's 8 for me in one field.
Bob enters town believing his reputation will intimidate the locals. However, he is unaware of Little Bill's strict no firearms ordinance. He casually enters the town, and when a deputy asks him to surrender his firearms, he denies having any.
Well, I can assure you, young man, that neither my companion nor I carry firearms on our person. We rely upon the goodwill of our fellow man and the forbearance of reptiles.
The officer returns to the police station and reports this to Little Bill. Soon, the officers arm themselves, and Little Bill leads them to Bob. As it appears, Bob and Little Bill are well acquainted with each other. With a cold and stern voice, Little Bill asks him to surrender his weapons, and this time, Bob abides.
I'm afraid so, Bob. You don't like firearms, sir.
Be very careful with this.
The standoff is so intense that Beecham wets his pants. He introduces himself as a writer who fancies stories about Western gunslingers. He turns out to be a man who romanticizes violence and makes a living out of writing such stories. Having surrendered his weapon, Bob turns to leave, but Little Bill stops him.
Well, good afternoon, gentlemen. I'll have that 32, Bob. Now, Little Bill, you will leave me at the mercy of my enemies.
He confiscates both his pistols and brutally beats him up. Little Bill beats him to a bloody pulp, kicking him repeatedly as he lies helpless in the mud, while Beecham watches in horrified fascination. Bill then puts him inside a cell alongside Beecham. As Bob lay writhing in pain, Bill reads one of his books titled The Duke of Death, but he pronounces it as Duck of Death, intentionally undermining Bob's abilities.
The Duck of Death?
The Duke. Duck, I says.
He tells Beecham the truth about Bob's legendary stories and explains how he got lucky during intense moments. Bill explains the true nature of gunfighting to Beecham. It is not about who has the fastest draw, but about who has a cool head and can take their time to aim while bullets are flying past them.
A man who will keep his head, not get rattled under fire. Like as not, he'll kill you.
But if the other fella is quicker and fires first,
Then he'll be hurrying and he'll miss.
Meanwhile, William reaches Ned's home, and there, he is greeted with a disgusted look by Ned's wife, Sally. Ned welcomes his old friend, and here we get to know that he used to accompany William in all his crimes. Ned seems to have his accuracy intact, as he can still knock the eyes out of a flying bird.
And I can still knock the eye out of a bird flying, too.
Hence, he accompanies William in his last job. That night while the duo are resting, William tells Ned that at times, he thinks about the old days. He remembers the men he killed and expresses his regret over his actions, while Ned tries to motivate him by stating that he is a changed man now. William agrees and admits that his wife has straightened him up.
I ain't like that no more.
That's right. I'm just a fella now. I ain't no different than anyone else. No more.
Next morning, the duo continue their journey, but out of the blue, someone starts shooting at them. They immediately crawl behind the tall grass to take cover, and realize that the shooter is shooting at the entire horizon. William soon realizes that it is the Schofield kid. He yells at him to stop shooting and introduces his friend Ned to the young man.
Hey, kid, it's me, Will Money. What the hell's the kid shooting at us for? Is that you?
Yeah, it's me.
Ned tries to initiate small talk, but his attitude shocks the experienced duo. At first, he is hesitant to share the bounty 3 ways, but once they decide to leave, he changes his mind. The trio continue their journey, but somehow Ned has doubts about the kid's vision. As it turns out, he is extremely short-sighted.
See that hawk up there? I could hit that hawk with 1 shot.
Hell, I could hit it too, Ned, if I didn't mind wasting a shot.
There ain't no hawk, kid. You can't see for shit, can you?
Still, he claims that he can see up to 50 yards, and the duo have no choice but to bring him along. That night, while taking rest, he asks about the stories of William's younger days. He expresses his amazement at the way he used to brutally kill his targets. But William just ignores him and tells him that he doesn't recall those memories. Next, Ned asks him about his kill count, and when he replies that he has killed 5 men, both men are left shocked.
How many men you killed, kid?
5.
How many?
5. I done killed 5 of them.
On the other hand, Little Bill is messing with Beecham. He hands him a revolver and asks him to cock it. The rider is scared to death and hands over the pistol to Bob. But Bob denies taking it in his hand, as he knows very well that in his present state, Little Bill will easily shoot him to death. This shows us that even though Little Bill is a sheriff, he remains an evil man.
You're right not to take it, Bob. I would have killed you.
Ned, William, and the kid reach the outskirts of Big Whiskey, but the heavy rain delays their journey. Next day, Bob is thrown out of town and is put on a train. While he is being taken away, Ned and the men arrive in town, and they too miss the sign which forbids weapons inside town limits. Little Bill is talking with Beecham when a deputy informs him that 3 men have entered the town and are staying at Greeley's.
What? 3 fellas just come into town, Bill. They're down to Greeley's. At least 2 of them got guns.
He adds that they are armed and need to be apprehended. Inside Greeley's, William is running a fever and Ned is concerned about him, but he brushes it off. Ned then invites him to avail the services of the women, but he denies out of respect for his deceased wife. Just a few moments after Ned goes upstairs, Little Bill and his men enter the saloon. He forces William to surrender his weapons, but when he denies having any weapons, he forcefully confiscates his pistol.
What's this for, snakes and such? Yeah.
He knocks William to the ground, but doesn't stop there. He kicks him several times, till he is writhing in pain. Poor William slowly crawls outside in the rain and lies motionless in the mud. Ned and the kid escape through the window upstairs and somehow rescue William and ride away. Ned stitches up his wounds and they take refuge inside a barn, just outside town. Next morning, some of the women offer their free services to Ned and the kid, and also hand them sketches of the cowboys they are ought to kill. That night, William begins to have hallucinations, and sees Claudia who has worms crawling all over her face.
I see Claudia, too. Her face was all covered with worms. Oh, Dad, I'm scared. I'm dying.
It is clear that his condition has worsened, and he may not make it out alive. 3 days later, Delilah tends to his wounds, and he finally returns to his senses. He is shocked to know that he has been unconscious for 3 days, but feels lucky to have survived. The two have small talk, and she offers him free service. William promptly denies the gesture, which offends her as she thinks that it is because to her disfigured face. The trio soon get back to work and track Davy along with a few other cowboys resting in a rocky pass. Ned shoots at Davy's horse, bringing it down with its rider.
Jesus, fella.
But Ned does not have the guts to kill a man anymore. William takes over, and after a few tries, manages to shoot his stomach. The feeling of killing a man takes over Ned and William. Before he dies, poor Davy begs for some water, and William allows a cowboy to pass it to him. Davy dies soon after, and the trio ride away. But the burden is too much for Ned, and he quits.
You want the Spencer, Will?
This ain't no time to quit, man.
You know, you're gonna lose your share, Ned.
Shut up.
I see you, Will. So long, kid.
William tries to change his mind, but fails. Hence, Ned decides to ride south, and William promises to join him after finishing the job. The news of Davy's death reaches Little Bill, and he summons a posse to catch the men. The women get a glimmer of hope after a long time, but the men throw stones at them, blaming them for the murder.
He had it coming! He had it coming for what he done! And the other one too! Both of them for what they done!
Unfortunately, the posse catch Ned and bring him to Little Bill. He brutally tortures Ned with a whip, and even though he goes through excruciating pain, he does not betray his friend. On the other hand, William and the kid are lying in wait for Quick Mike. Here, we see that he is being guarded by a deputy who has been stationed there by Little Bill. Eventually, Mike comes out to use the outhouse, and William gives the signal to his partner. He stealthily approaches the man, but unfortunately gets spotted by the deputy. He alerts the men, and to cover his partner, William springs to action.
No!
Kid finishes off Quick Mike, and the duo hurry back to their horses and somehow manage to escape. Later, resting under a tree, the emotional toll of the murder crashes down on the kid. He drinks heavily from a bottle of whiskey, trying to numb his nerves. Through tears and panic, the kid confesses to William that despite all his prior boasting, Quick Mike was the first man he had ever killed.
First one I ever killed.
Yeah?
You know how I said I shot 5 men? It weren't true.
The romanticized idea of being a gunfighter has been violently shattered. William, staring blankly, offers a bleak, haunting response.
We all have it coming, kid.
Their uneasy respite is interrupted by the arrival of Little Sue, one of the prostitutes, who brings them the $1,000 reward money. However, she also brings devastating news. Ned was captured by Little Bill's posse and was whipped mercilessly. Under excruciating pain, Ned eventually gave up William's real name. Despite getting the information, Little Bill beat Ned to death. To serve as a gruesome warning, Ned's corpse has been placed in a pine box and is currently on public display leaning against the front of Greeley's saloon, adorned with a sign warning off assassins.
He beat him up. He was making him answer questions and beating him up, and then Ned just died. They got a sign on him, says he was a killer.
They got a sign on him?
In front of Greeley's.
The news hits William like a physical blow. The internal dam that Claudia built inside him breaks. William asks the kid for the bottle of whiskey. He takes a long, deep swig, his first drink in over 11 years. In that moment, the struggling farmer dies and the cold-blooded, merciless killer resurrects. He hands the kid the reward money, instructing him to take his share and then distribute the rest to his children and Sally. The kid, traumatized and recognizing the monster William has just become, promises that he will never use a gun again. William tells him to keep his word, mounts his horse, and rides alone toward Big Whiskey. That night, Little Bill is organizing a large posse to hunt down William and the kid. The saloon is filled with deputies, townsfolk, and Skinny Du Bois. But this is when William rides into town, and his eyes fall on his friend's corpse. Furious, he enters the saloon and asks who owns the place.
Hold it!
Bill admonishes him for shooting an unarmed man, but he just doesn't care. Bill recognizes the danger he is in, but stands his ground. Unfortunately, his shotgun misfires, but he still manages to shoot Bill and kill most of the deputies. Beecham, who was trapped under a corpse, stands up and introduces himself as a writer. He asks about the order in which William killed those 5 men, but he points a gun at him. Scared, he runs out, but this is when we see that Bill is alive and is about to shoot William. But William turns out to be faster and kills Little Bill for good.
I'll see you in hell, William, money. Yeah.
He steps out of the saloon into the raging storm and mounts his horse, surrounded by darkness and rain. He looks out into the shadows where the frightened townsfolk are hiding and delivers a chilling ultimatum that echoes into the night.
You better bury Ned right. Better not cut up to otherwise harm no horse.
Or I'll come back and kill every one of you sons of...
The film fades to a serene, sunlit wide shot of the Kansas plains, where we see a silhouette of William standing quietly by the grave of Claudia, leaving the audience to wonder if he was ever truly redeemed, or if he merely learned to hide the monster within. Thank you for staying till the end. If you like this recap, please drop a like and hit the subscribe button.